We live in a time when spiritual deception doesn't always arrive in horns and red cloaks. Sometimes it comes stitched into leather. Sometimes it's embossed in gold letters. And sometimes it's zipped up in your back pocket without you even realizing it. Today's Christians are under a unique kind of assault, one that doesn't knock on the door, but slips in through fashion, lifestyle, branding, and yes, even wallets. Let me ask you something. Do you know what's on your wallet right now? Is it just a brand name or is it something darker? A symbol charged with occult meaning, a slogan that opposes God's design, a company that uses its profits to mock everything you stand for? You see, Satan doesn't need to scream to deceive. All he needs is a little compromise and the quiet, unsuspecting Christian willing to carry darkness in his purse or pocket because it looks good. In today's expose, I'm pulling back the curtain on 5 wallet brands Christians should avoid at all costs. These aren't just overpriced accessories, they're loaded with spiritual landmines. Some of these brands are openly tied to the occult. Others mock God with their branding, design, or values. And others still subtly condition the masses through the idolization of wealth, pride, and lust, all while you're just trying to pay for lunch. This video will not be a light-hearted critique or a mere consumer warning. It is a call to spiritual awareness, a call to purity, to discernment, and to separation from the world's seductive systems. Because when Jesus said, "Come out from among them and be separate," he didn't just mean in church, he meant in everything, even the wallet in your hand. So if you're ready to see what lies beneath the polished exterior of your favorite accessories, buckle up. It's time to expose the darkness, brand by brand, wallet by wallet. First brand, Maison Margiela, the cult of the anonymous. At first glance, Maison Margiela might not scream demonic. In fact, it prides itself on being the opposite of flashy. Their wallets and clothing often feature blank tags, anonymous labels, and minimalist design. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. What most people don't realize is that Margiela's obsession with anonymity isn't just an aesthetic choice. It's rooted in postmodern nihilism, a spiritual void masked as avant-garde. Margiela's design philosophy stems from the rejection of identity, tradition, and objective truth. 3 things the Bible deeply affirms. The brand is built on the erasure of the self, exactly the kind of philosophy that makes way for spiritual counterfeits. In fact, some of their promotional art includes mannequins with no faces, echoing ancient occult practices of depersonalization, a favorite tactic of demonic possession, where the individual identity is stripped away. Worse still, Margiela's parent company is OTB Group, which has promoted anti-Christian causes and ideologies, including radical gender campaigns that mock God's creation order. But here's where it gets more eerie. Their numeric logo. Maison Margiela tags include a row of numbers from 0 to 23, with 1 circled. It's cryptic, and deliberately so. Occultists often use numeric symbolism to veil meaning. In Hebrew and biblical numerology, numbers have deep spiritual significance. Brands like this hijack that symbolic language for aesthetic mystique and spiritual misdirection. Think about it. Why cloak your brand in numeric codes, blank identities, faceless mannequins, and anti-order chaos? Because confusion is not from God, it's from the enemy. The Bible tells us that God is a God of order, truth, and light, not mystery for mystery's sake, not nihilism, not facelessness. So if you're carrying a Margiela wallet, you're not just holding a fashion piece, you're holding a symbol of spiritual erasure. That's not just questionable, it's dangerous. Second brand, Gucci, luxury, laced in Luciferianism. Few brands scream opulence like Gucci. Their wallets, often decorated with the famous interlocking G's, are seen as status symbols, signs of success, and fashion must-haves. But behind the glitz and glamour lies a darker reality that many Christians fail to discern. Let's begin with the obvious, the symbolism. Gucci's logo, two interlocked G's, is more than just a stylized monogram. Some scholars and ex-occultists have pointed out that this kind of dual G looping symbolism has historic ties to esoteric circles, particularly in modern satanic fashion symbolism. While this connection may seem tenuous to skeptics, the surrounding content paints a disturbing picture. In 2018, Gucci debuted a fashion line inspired by seances, mysticism, and tarot cards. They openly featured occult symbols, third eyes, pyramid imagery, and veiled figures in their runway shows. One collection even featured models carrying replicas of their own severed heads, while other pieces displayed snakes, horns, and pentagrams. Let me ask you this. Would Jesus be glorified by you buying from a brand that romanticizes death, self-decapitation, and the occult? The answer is obvious, but it gets worse. Gucci's parent company, Kering, has repeatedly supported anti-Christian causes. Their corporate ethos revolves around gender ideology, radical inclusivity, and woke capitalism, all while mocking traditional values. They've financially supported campaigns pushing abortion rights, gender fluidity, and postmodern morality. In a 2019 campaign, Gucci featured models portraying non-binary saints, glorifying divine queerness, and replacing holiness with androgyny. That's not fashion, that's spiritual propaganda. And all of this is deeply intentional. The devil isn't dumb. He knows that if he wraps corruption in luxury, people will not only accept it, but crave it, Christians included. Owning a Gucci wallet isn't just a style choice. It's a statement one that aligns your money, your pocket, and your brand loyalty with a company that has repeatedly aligned itself with darkness. As Proverbs 6:16 says, "There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him, and arrogance, pride, and perversion are at the top of the list." So, before you reach for that designer zip wallet, ask yourself, whose spirit designed this brand and who is glorified by it? Because it's never just leather, it's never just stitching, and it's never just fashion. Third brand, Comme des Garçons, the spirit of rebellion in disguise. The name Comme des Garçons translates from French to like the boys, a gender-bending concept at its core. But the rebellion doesn't stop there. This brand, often hailed for being avant-garde, anti-trend, and non-conformist, masks itself in artistic language while blatantly embodying the Luciferian archetype. Reject the old order. Create your own. Let's look at the branding first. Comme des Garçons. Wallets often plain, block-colored, with a discreet label don't seem alarming, but step into their fashion philosophy, and things shift rapidly. Founder Rei Kawakubo has openly stated that her brand is about challenging meaning, destroying structure, and rejecting beauty. In other words, her entire aesthetic is built on deconstruction, a foundational tool of Satan himself. In Isaiah 14:13-14, Lucifer declared, "I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High." That is rebellion. That is deconstruction. That is exactly the spirit that animates this brand. But it goes further. In various runway shows and collections, Comme des Garçons has showcased models styled as demonic figures, twisted religious iconography, and even blasphemous takes on church garments. This isn't coincidental. It's calculated. Rei Kawakubo's work is often described by critics as spiritually unsettling, anti-beauty, and intentionally offensive, and many pieces are presented with ritualistic music, grim lighting, and paranormal undertones. And yet, Their wallets sell globally, many to unsuspecting Christians who have no idea they're financially supporting a fashion house built on the spirit of rebellion. And let's not ignore this. Rebellion is the original sin. As 1 Samuel 15:23 says, "For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry." When a brand's entire purpose is to challenge norms, destroy meaning, and glorify chaos, you need to realize that's not art. That's spiritual warfare disguised as creativity. So if you're carrying a Comme des Garçons wallet, you're not just holding a piece of leather, you're holding a philosophy. A philosophy that doesn't want to reflect God, but wants to replace Him. Fourth, brand. Off-White. The confusion of Babel rebranded. From the first glance, Off-White might seem like just another urban fashion label. Bold stripes, ironic text, and exaggerated zippers. But beneath the aesthetic lies a deeper and disturbing agenda. An agenda that mirrors the Tower of Babel itself. Confusion, self-worship, and defiance of divine order. Founded by the late Virgil Abloh, Off-White has always positioned itself as defiant, postmodern, and anti-definition. One of its most famous slogans, "Everything in quote." That might seem like clever branding, but spiritually, it's incredibly significant. By putting everything in quotation marks, wallet, logo, money, Off-White invites you to question reality, destabilize truth, and mock certainty. And as Christians, we know that God is a God of order, not confusion, 1 Corinthians 14:33. When a brand's very core is to blur the line between real and fake, sacred and profane, masculine and feminine, be cautious. That's not creativity. That's confusion engineered. In Off-White's 2020 capsule collection, several wallets featured crosses upside down, scribbled graphics mimicking ritual symbols, and messages like "Insert faith here," a direct mockery of Christian belief. This isn't just edgy. This is deliberate provocation. Moreover, Virgil Abloh's collaborations with figures like Travis Scott, who has promoted occult imagery, burning doves, and inverted crosses in his concerts, shows us the spiritual territory Off-White was walking in. When you partner with people who blaspheme God, your brand carries that same spiritual aroma. Off-White also launched a controversial wallet collection with faceless heads and distorted bodies, disturbing visuals. Many artists and pastors alike have linked to demonic depictions found in sleep paralysis, visions, and occultic hallucinations. There is power in symbols. There is power in language. Off-White hijacks both. When the enemy cannot destroy you with obvious darkness, he wraps confusion in brilliance. He makes ambiguity look fashionable. That's how spiritual erosion begins. As Isaiah 5:20 warns, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness." Christian, if you're carrying an Off-White wallet, be honest, are you signaling truth or confusion? Because the God you serve is not interested in blurred lines. He demands clarity, purity, and boldness. Fifth, brand. Alexander McQueen, the wallets of the grave. This next brand doesn't just flirt with death, it dances with it, wraps it in silk, and sells it for hundreds of dollars. Alexander McQueen is one of the most blatantly occultic, death-centered, and spiritually dark brands in the fashion industry today. Let's start with the obvious. Nearly every Alexander McQueen wallet or accessory is decorated with skulls. Some subtle, some exaggerated, some plated in gold. But all share one common thread: glorifying the grave. The Bible is crystal clear about death. Hebrews 2:14 calls death the power of the devil. And yet, McQueen's designs take what Christ conquered at the cross and turn it into a logo. The late Lee Alexander McQueen, the founder of the brand, was a tormented genius whose fashion shows often resembled satanic rituals rather than runways. One of his most infamous shows ended with a hologram of a ghostly Kate Moss swirling in a box, while another included models dressed as dead brides, blood-stained garments, and burning crosses. In 2007, a collection called In Memory of Elizabeth featured wallets and pieces that bore funeral lace patterns, ritual stitching, and even whispers of necromantic aesthetics. But here's the chilling part. Before his tragic suicide in 2010, Alexander McQueen had frequently expressed obsession with the afterlife, ghosts, and demonic visitations. His work reflected that. Critics said his pieces were otherworldly, haunted, and full of beautiful darkness. And now, Christians are carrying wallets stamped with his name, not realizing they're literally putting death into their pockets. Friend, there is nothing fashionable about death. Jesus defeated death, so why would we turn around and glamorize it? As Proverbs 8:36 says, "But he who sins against me wrongs his own soul. All those who hate me love death." Let me ask you directly, do you want to carry around a symbol of victory or a symbol of the grave? Because the wallets we carry are more than accessories. They are messages, and McQueen's message is chillingly clear. By now, you might be asking, why wallets? Why not just go after the big things, music, movies, celebrities? That's the deception. Satan is subtle. If he can't get you to renounce Christ, he'll get you to normalize blasphemy in your daily routine. What better way than through the object you carry your money in? Wallets are symbolic. They represent your identity with your IDs and cards, your provision, cash, coins, credit, your decisions, purchases, transactions, and your loyalty, what brands you support. So if he can wrap darkness in something as innocent looking as a wallet, you won't notice when you're carrying his kingdom in your pocket. As Deuteronomy 6:8 says, the Lord commanded his people to bind his words on their hands and between their eyes. That was symbolic obedience. Today, the world binds rebellion to your chest, your back, your hand through fashion. And let's not forget, every dollar you spend on these brands is a seed into their kingdom. Gucci supports gender deconstruction. Off-White glorifies confusion. McQueen praises death. Comme des Garçons preaches rebellion. Telfar, revealed earlier, normalizes spiritual compromise. Friend, your money is a vote. Every wallet you buy funds something. So who are you funding? When Jesus walked into the temple and saw the money changers exploiting the house of God, he didn't stay silent. He overturned the tables, drove out the sellers, and declared, "My house shall be called a house of prayer." Now here's the hard truth. You are that temple. And if Jesus were to walk into the temple of your life today, what wallets would he find? Would he find leather stamped with death? Would he find logos dripping in rebellion? Would he find brands mocking his holiness? Or would he find purity? Friend, this is not about legalism. This is about discernment. About making sure your money, your brand loyalty, and your daily carry do not promote spiritual compromise. It's time to cleanse your lifestyle. Throw out the Gucci wallets. Toss the Alexander McQueen skull pouch. Cut ties with Comme des Garçons, Off-White, and others that mock your savior. And if you're wondering, but what brand should I carry now? Start with prayer. Ask God to lead you. Look for Christian-owned brands. Or even better, go unbranded, unchained, unbranded by the world. As Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Let your wallet be a testimony. Let it represent kingdom over culture. And remember, Even the smallest item you carry can either glorify Christ or glorify his enemy. You choose